Hey, welcome to another edition of XFeed. Thought today we'd do one a little bit earlier. So if you are on the West Coast, good morning. If you're on the East Coast, good morning. If you're on the other part of the world, I have no idea what time it is. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening at the same time. My name's The Schiller, and we go over Web3 happenings, focusing on NFTs, typically your large collections that everybody knows about, but of course, covering whatever we can. Appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. So today, I wanted to actually start off by going over two different conversations that I had on X today that I thought was interesting because it was a pretty big perspective opener, I suppose, when you're kind of challenged on a specific thought. And then there was another one where somebody kind of made a statement and I was like, I don't know if I necessarily agree. So we'll go through both, but shout out to Philly, who we had a little bit of a back and forth with earlier today. They made a post saying, not going to lie, I think technically the whole NFT industry is in this man's hand, tagging crypto Garga. Now, Garga is the CEO and one of the original founders of Bored Ape Yacht Club and Yuga Labs. So it's actually insane, but the season of apes up, everything up won't change. Do you agree? So pretty bold statement, and I kind of said that right off the back. I'm like, okay, I love Garga, but it feels like a hyperbolic statement, and that's also ignoring everything else that happened across the space. Because if you think about the amount of what's going on within the RWA space across all of the different gaming chains that are out there, from Ronin to Immutable X, you can say, oh, I don't like the certain games or the happenings or whatnot, but there is momentum happening within it, and obviously we still have the artist scene that's out there, super rare, etc. So to say kind of everything revolves around, or sorry, relies on Yuga performing well, I don't know necessarily if that's the case. And then further add saying the Bored Ape Yacht Club stimulus definitely helped. And when I mean stimulus, whenever they used to drop an NFT of some sorts, usually it's sold for a respectable amount. When they did the ape coin drop, obviously that was an ungodly amount that didn't really make sense at the time. But still, it definitely shot across the entire NFT landscape at that time. And I kind of said the reason that this all happened because it wasn't saturated. Now there is 605 options. You don't have kind of that same focal point on whatever was available at that time. And also to that, there was a lot of people that were Yuga Maxis at the time, and to buy a Bored Ape or a Mutant Ape, it was just not possible. Even off of these different drops and whatnot, they were still going for an obscene amount of money, and so people just put it into things that were valued a little bit lower. So Philly responded saying, love your opinion, but it's a fact that BYC is just the face of NFTs and Punks is the OG of NFT. Both collections are under Yuga. And so when he said that, I was like, this is kind of like a subjective thing, I think. So I responded saying Top Shot was the face of NFTs at a point. I believe Axie Infinity was the face at a point as well. And Pudgies now have 10 billion plus Giphy views. So is that worthy of being the face of NFTs currently? Now, reflecting on this post, I think that, I view everything at like a moment of time, right? So we can maybe say that BYC is the face of NFTs right now, but it wasn't in the past. And even when it first launched, it wasn't either. And for Pudgy Penguins, are they even considered the face of NFTs right now with all those Giphy views? I mean, I feel like they're getting brand recognition, but if you ask the average person, are they going to say, oh yeah, like Pudgy Penguins, that's an NFT brand? I don't think so. For Bored Apes, yes, they would. But still going on, what makes BAYC the face of it currently, besides it showing up in Google search when you type NFT? Because that's the narrative that I've seen is, oh, it's the face of NFTs because when you type in NFT on Google, it's kind of like the first description that pops up for it. But I agree CryptoPunks are the OG, but I don't think Yuga owning them brings extra validation to say that Bored Ape Yacht Club is the face of NFTs, simply because its parent company also owns Punks, and I just said appreciate your perspective, yada, yada, yada. So he answers me initially right off the bat here, referencing my besides the Google search, and he says, sounds dummy, but this is already the strongest fact supporting my statement. Actually, it's not just Google, but all the other search engines as well. This industry is still young and has a small user base, so the key now is grow users, right? And to grow, we need to onboard more people, and the first information they receive often comes from Google, and even if you know from your friend, most of them will tell you that NFTs are monkey JPEGs that went to $500,000. No, pengs are often used as GIF, but it's not enough to say that they are the face of NFTs. Sadly, basically raised up as at post NFT season. I won't doubt they'll become more NFT if Luca bought it at 2021. So that's an interesting perspective, talking about the specific year and saying, oh, if it was a little bit earlier, or if it had the traction or growth that it's now had back in those early days, that it would be a little bit different. And so again, I think it's just kind of interesting that we're basing the face off of it from the search engines. And I still kind of go back to the thought of, well, it depends on what people come into the ecosystems for, right? Like if you're from a different part of the world, do you view Ethereum NFTs as the face of NFTs, or is it gaming ones where gaming is a lot bigger within the Asian markets, right? So I think it's subjective to that, but trying to keep a full scope on what the world kind of looks like. And then they highlighted saying this is a PowerPoint slice of a blockchain lecture from a top 30 university worldwide. Their professor basically took the first search result on Google. So it says use cases for smart contracts, and within NFTs, it says NFTs are unique cryptographic tokens that are stored on a blockchain representing digital assets such as drawings, music, media, virtual fashion items, etc. Examples: Bored Ape, CryptoKitties. Just adding to that, and then he sent me that. And so I don't know. I still don't know if I feel that the notion of BYC being the face of it has been sold to me as of yet. I'll try to argue different points when I can think of them, but I don't know if there's necessarily like a face for it right now, except for the fact that I feel like people don't hate NFTs as much as they did a while ago. And again, BYC reached the heights that it did from the fact that the price went there, the celebrities jumped in, and then on the downfall, in quotes, just regarding price and the celebrities not using it anymore, there was a ton of hate articles. Moist Critical, Asmongold, all these big streamers were going off about that. And so it's like kind of almost like a double-edged sword. It's like it's the face of NFTs, but it's also known for some bad things. But if you were like aware of what's going on, there's a lot of good things that go on. So I don't know if you guys have any extra thoughts on that, but good conversation with Philly on the timeline. So Mario, who I actually find very interesting, we kind of had a little bit of a chippy back and forth here, because the article that came out yesterday that we highlighted on XFeed was about Immutable shutting down its NFT marketplace. And when you go over the article, it basically says, well, they're shutting down the native IMX one because they're wanting to help support third-party builders, drive traffic to them, and they just don't want to deal with the upkeep or whatever, but it was initially used just to highlight the capabilities of their SDK. And so Mario said, this is what happens when you allow Gary Vaynerchuk, one of the internet's worst grifters, to invest and promote your company. And I was like, okay, like that, I'm trying to go in my head. I'm like, okay, how does Immutable trying to support people that are building on IMX result in Gary V being like a fraud and like ripping on him? That didn't really make sense. So we had a little bit of a back and forth, and I said, did you read the article or just the headline? The other platforms building on Immutable were way better. Immutable marketplaces still exist. They're just shutting down their native one, as I just said. And then so they responded saying, did you do any research? And I'm like, I mean, yes, we have. And so on the post that they used as the research, they just highlighted different things about Gary, talking about book games, saying that it's on Immutable, sharing how to set up an Immutable X wallet that has nothing to do with the marketplaces, and then just kind of some extra things talking about capital being used in current companies building on IMX, including GameStop, TikTok, OpenSea, Embersword, Illuvium, Green Park Sports, and Gary V Friends. And I'm like, okay, like I'm still not really cluing into what the initial post was regarding Gary V. And so I said that. I was like, you made a post ripping on Gary about Immutable shutting down his native NFT marketplace where they want to push traffic to people building on the network, and you can still use the IMX-based marketplaces, and you can buy book games here. But they're saying that's not my point. My point is when you allow grifters to invest in your products and services and promote them, bad things will happen. Which again, still doesn't make sense. People don't want to support Immutable because their associations with Gary V. What does Immutable shutting down their native marketplace have anything to do with this? And so I said, bad things will happen. What is bad about Immutable supporting their builders? The IMX NFT marketplaces aren't shutting down. It's just the native one. They showcase their SDK capabilities. Your initial post doesn't make any sense if your point is people don't want to touch IMX because of Gary. And I'm just like, I don't really understand the narrative spin. So I don't know if I'm completely missing the point in which they're trying to share, or if they're just really, really mad about Gary. Because again, I find Mario's posts interesting. A lot of them is just kind of like ripping on Gary, calling him a grifter and all this other stuff. And I've been fairly vocal about certain things that I didn't like about VeeFriends, book games, yada, yada, yada. But I'm like, listen, we got to be subjective about these things. It's got to be accurate. And so for TokenTrove, we'll kind of lead over to that. So this is one of the marketplaces for IMX, and it's still rocking and rolling here. But looking at the top collections by volume on 7 days, Guild of Guardians at 411 ETH, but it's down 62%, which seems kind of insane. Gods Unchained at 13.02, and then sorry, I'm reading it the wrong way. Illuvium at 60 ETH, Cross the Ages at 42. Again, just interesting looking at this comparatively to the Ethereum NFT collections, where things are going for a lot. Usually for IMX, it's not super expensive ones necessarily, because it's for gaming and there's a lot of extra assets. And I think the whole mass adoption angle of it is going to be what most of these kind of like gaming chains are going to look at. So don't expect very limited mints per se. But speaking of Veecon, it is starting today. So yay, woohoo. If you're going to that, enjoy. I did look up for anybody within the Futureverse community. I looked at the schedule. There have been rather big announcements out of Veecon from different speakers that are there. For Shara Senderoff, who's there from Futureverse, she's on like a specific panel and only talking once. So I don't think we're going to see any announcements from that, which I mean, I don't really expect it to begin with, but just to give you some reassurance on that. Okay, so I misspoke a little bit yesterday, and I want to kind of clear the air of it because I feel like, wow. Okay, so yesterday there was an announcement regarding the whole Trump thing. There was people that were posting these tokens, and I said, oh, they're doing a token, and that doesn't seem like that's actually accurate. So I just want to correct that. They talked about beware of fake tokens, but the exact verbiage saying the only official Trump project, not token, has not been announced. And apparently this is about a larger platform that will take on the banking world, which yesterday we talked a little bit about how some banks were having issues or getting pressed about certain things. So this is a platform. It's not a token, unless they rug us on that, which is going to be interesting, to be honest. I find that very interesting, where there's still mass problems within the US for different components of it. And I'm seeing on my timeline a lot more people talking about the banking aspect. And of course, you don't want to be debanked per se, but you have to, keep your head on the swivel to understand what's going on around the world. TMA saying how to run an NFT project in 2024. I didn't know this happened, but this is a doozy. Create a credible brand, launch an omni-chain successful IP, and create strong partnerships. Get recognized for all your accomplishments, get hungry and launch a fake Trump token and watch it all go down in flames. So Canpai Panda, I have no idea what in the halibut went on. I guess these were up at like 2 ETH. They launched a token. It was fake. People just immediately started weething it for like 2 ETH less than what it was going for. I have no idea, but holy mother of pearl, that is insane. The other day, Doodles announced saying that they are doing an Adidas original X Doodles hyper limited apparel. So it's so interesting to see these things, because I don't feel like I'm attached to any sort of like brand per se. If you're like, oh, are you going to go buy like a Nike shirt? Are you going to go get like an Adidas shirt? I don't really have any of those like loyalties per se, but it is interesting where I do feel that I am loyal to certain NFT brands and them partnering with that. I know Adidas has done a lot of different things, but still rather cool to see. And this is apparently going to be IRL and digital wearables. I know, obviously, for the Third Kingdom, Doodles are a partner within that. I don't know if they're potentially using the tech with Futureverse, something with DRX, if it's something different, if I'm just trying to create some hopium narrative here. But cool to see that we're seeing a lot more of, if you buy something, you get the physical and the digital version of that. So Jiho is highlighting regarding their Mystic and Origin Axies. And this is something to pay attention to if you're somebody who's in the space and wondering about the value of some of the early OG type NFTs within a certain collection, because for Axie, they are really hooking up some of the original people here, where it's called like the Ronin Jewel. If you have a Mystic Axie, So you get a free premium battle pass every single season, 40 plus fortune slips per Mystic Axie. Again, you're not going to know all these things, but each Mystic Axie provides you 13,240 Axie score. Mystic Axie gives you 80 free transactions per month on Ronin. Again, I'm not going to go through everything, but it is really awesome to see some of the earliest NFTs of a major ecosystem that performed exceptionally well get recognition in this sort of way. Hope more collections do that, because that is sweet. Carl here with a cool little thread talking about some different TV shows that highlighted mainstream TV shows that are mainstream that highlighted NFTs. The Boys in 2024, The Lift in 2024, South Park back in 2021, Futurama this year, Tarot by Sony Pictures, and The Simpsons in 2023. So not a crazy amount, but they've been mentioned. Now here's a quick clip from Garga talking about the BAYC vibes in the early days from Thread Guy.
Look, in a lot of ways, I think BYC almost invented the idea of fucking NFT founders sticking around.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was swearing off the rip.
It happened really before that. And part of that for us just meant, like, you know, people from the outside would see, like, the success and just assume that, like, we were just on the beach, like, and it was easy or whatever. Whereas actually a huge amount of the work, the real work, was, like, managing a community, like treating a Discord like it's your fucking living room and you got a party of 5,000 friends there. And how do you know, evict the trolls and keep the right, like, tone and you know, have it be friendly, welcoming place and all these kinds of things. I think, to me, early BYC vibes was just like people fucking all of a sudden doing stuff. Like, they just felt like they weren't waiting to be told. There was like,
oh, they're doing stuff. All right, we're not gonna go through the whole clip. He just apparently swears throughout the entire thing. Also, the AI program they used to highlight this, what in the hell? They didn't autocorrect absolutely anything. But yeah, I mean, back in the early days, people were just like, yo, let's get together, let's do stuff. It was like motivating. I think obviously with the stimulus that came a part of it, obviously buying something for like $250 and then suddenly going to like $5,000, you're like, oh my God, if I got like one or two of these things, like, guess we have something to spend. We can go on ideas, get creative. It was a very, very interesting time. Now, I have done a new video regarding Futureverse and the Root Network. If you guys haven't checked that out, be sure to check the most recent video. And of course, just on the timeline as well. Appreciate you guys seeing those. Beanie, the amount of NFT market cope is incredible. It's true that several prominent teams have built pretty compelling products. Some may even have a sensible business model, but if this new perceived success doesn't translate directly to community excitement, then it's all for nothing. So this is a good take, and maybe for a reason you already realized, but for the majority of the collections that are out there, the buyers are just whoever the hell is in the community. Obviously, everybody's trying to do outreach, get bigger, better, try to have like the mass adoption kind of idea, where for Doodles with their Super TV pass, that was cool. And again, there was a lot of people that weren't Doodles holders that got into it, but for any kind of like significant purchase that's not, you know, your $5, $10, maybe $50 for this, you're basically relying on the community entirely. So I agree with this, that if the community's not excited about what you're doing, it's Tayak. YoJurmy. First parallel miner this weekend, 50K pot. Wait, 50,000 American dollars. The inaugural league will be 500,000 plus. Holy smokes. Hold on, let's go over to that right quick. Paraleague powered by Prime. We're excited to announce this year's prize pool of $500,000. So this is interesting to me because if we go back about a month and a half ago, maybe that's too far, a month ago, there was all these games that were announcing a prize pool of different sorts all over the board. I think Yuga was jumping on different stuff with Dookie Dash. I think I might have heard something about Parallel, but I don't remember it being that high of a price point. Obviously, with the Third Kingdom, that was going on, and I think Illuvium, but that might have been like a playtest reward of some sort. But we're seeing bigger and Guild of Guardians was what I was referencing. But we're seeing bigger and bigger prizes, and it's really cool to see in YoJurmy. If you guys are looking for a Parallel streamer, this man has been absolutely grinding. I appreciate you sharing that with us, Mr. YoJurmy. And I think Parallel also is one of like the coolest art styles for all of their cards, and excited to see the AI world when that opens up regarding the colony. So some mainstream news here that I just find kind of crazy. And apparently CNN and parent company takes a $9.1 billion hit So these media, these platforms, all this kind of stuff, obviously they're all massively connected to huge TV deals where you and I, we sit here, we're on X, we watch YouTube. I mean, I don't watch like CNN at all. Right. Or like really any kind of like news channels. I'll see clips of certain things for sure, but I don't really like sit down and watch the news in length. And so I'm curious, is that it? Is there something more to it? I don't know. And then I'm watching a YouTube video this morning talking about House of the Dragon season 2, saying it's HBO's $100 million disaster. TLDR of the video, apparently they wanted to do 10 episodes, but because of the writer's strike, they had to like chop off 2 episodes. They weren't able to rewrite the script. That's why it felt like a little bit weird at points. But then for Warner Bros. Discovery, apparently they are like massively in debt. They're trying to figure out how to cut costs every way that they can. And I'm like, oh God, isn't Futureverse partnered with this? Is this good or is this bad? You know what I mean? YoJurmy, it's cool because a free-to-play player can qualify. You don't need any NFTs. All right. That's what we love to hear. People can just jump on board. I do believe that you need to like download the game fully. It's not browser-based by any means. So if anybody is looking to join Parallel, it is a fun experience. I've played it. I don't know if I can get myself to grind another card game because at one point I was doing Magic the Gathering. If you remember when Dominaria set came out, I was playing at the store all the time for that. Absolutely loved it. I had like a black and white night deck that was playing standard. I had like a mill deck for modern, but whenever I went to like a modern tournament, I was like, this shocked. Wasn't a fan. And then I got into Pokemon recently, and then we did try Parallel, and it is really, really fun. So if you're not diluted within your card game, be sure to check that out. Okay. Quick little teaser highlight from the RWA SegMints podcast that I've been doing. We talked with Andrea Miele from BZ, who they actually rebranded from the Colony. So if you remember seeing the Colony talked about at all, and I'm not talking about the collection that was on Say, because that was like the Ant Pixel collection. But for this one, they're doing graded collectibles like Pokemon cards, et cetera, and I think it's really neat. So here's a quick kind of teaser from that, and I will leave it here.
I wouldn't be building this company. I wouldn't have put my last, 4 or 5 years into this market if I didn't believe in the potential of future blockchain integration in most aspects of our life. It just makes more sense. It's more efficient. It's more transparent. You and I know that. But I think that we're going to see a lot more products and platforms that have blockchain rails, including ours, versus leading with crypto blockchain company. If I'm having a conversation with a Web2 reseller, I immediately see a wall go up if that's what I'm leading with, right? I'm not off the bat saying, we're blockchain based, you can play in crypto, It's, hey, here are some hurdles that I think you have on a day-to-day basis. Here's how we can solve them. And here are these additional upsides. And once you get through that, you sort of already sold the story. And then you talk about how all of this is powered by blockchain. And the reason that I can offer you these benefits, the lower fees, more efficiency, the additional revenue streams, is because we're on chain.
So if you guys wanted to check that out, again, it's in the description below or in my bio on X. Love doing them. Very, very fun interview with Andrea. Robbie Ferguson from Immutable saying it's now the second most popular L2 by daily active users, saying it's driven by 5 games out of 50 plus launching this year. It's got Base, Immutable, Arbitrum, Optimism mainnet, I believe. And for Base, it's showing that the active users daily are just over 400,000 and Immutable at over 250,000. So at the beginning of the stream, and if anybody missed it, feel free to kind of rewind and go back. When we talked about being the face of NFTs, that is an insane amount, right? That is an insane amount of users on the daily. Does BOIC have that many people being interactive with it? Not really. Has it gotten a little bit more of a mainstream attention compared to Immutable? Sure. But again, at different parts of the world, maybe the narrative is just all about Immutable and the top game on it, et cetera, et cetera. So I think the perspectives are always changing regarding things. Also, I just noticed that there was a pop-up of dropped frames a little bit ago. So apologies if anything happened. Now, Cap McDonald from Futureverse, Mr. Aaron, was highlighting their Readyverse world. Kind of cool to see, talking about how the AMAs and whatnot will be here. Love that we are going to have kind of an interactive experience where we are getting out of the Discord silo and it not being as engaging and fun. Again, for the Project Dragon with Yuga, I thought it was a decent experience from having all those people hanging out, but it just felt like there wasn't a whole lot going on with it. So we'll see what every collection that has the capabilities of doing that is going to look like. So more Root news here. Gen 3 Games, who again, building XRP on the Root network, they are moving to a next stage within a partnership they have with Visible NFT. And basically it's just going to be physical goods that are connected to Web3 brands, and we're just seeing more of the physical and digital collections. It's cool. All right, Illuvium and Samsung. I'm just going to read this super quick because that, Samsung, that sounds rather good. Illuvium's partnership with Samsung, showcasing the future of gaming at Gamescom. We're excited to finally unveil our partnership with Samsung DE at Gamescom 2024. This collaboration is a major step forward in blending gaming, digital art, and the next-gen technology, and we can't wait to share it with you. Bringing Illuvium to Samsung Web3 TVs. Our partnership with Samsung opens a new chapter in home entertainment. With Samsung Web3 TVs, you can experience the expansive Illuvium universe in your living room. Whether it's alluvials, weapons, or suits, the stunning clarity on these big screens bring your in-game creations to life like never before. Your TV is no longer just for watching. It's a dynamic art display that showcases the beauty and detail of the Illuvium world. If you're heading to Gamescom, make sure to swing by the Samsung booth. You'll drive into our 3 interconnected games, Illuvium Overworld, Arena, and Zero. Whether exploring diverse worlds, battling out on PvP, but for the campaign, but our partnership doesn't stop at Gamescom. The Generator campaign is designed to bring the Illuvium and Samsung communities close together, potentially reaching millions of Samsung users. As part of Samsung's TX1 campaign, Illuvium is one of the only 2 gaming partners chosen for this initiative. Users can acquire Samsung Gen 3 chip and Generator NFTs by participating and unlocking exclusive partner NFTs, including limited pieces from Illuvium. So the fact that there is now an app to be able to use on Samsung TVs, well, that is news, and we're just progressing every single day. JPEG Master saying, if you think NFTs aren't dead and Web3 gaming isn't dead, then other deeds under 0.1 ETH could be a great risk-reward play. Okay, so my big problem with this is the fact that Other Side has 100,000 land plots, right? Project Dragon had like 3,000 people. So if everybody had like 10 plus land plots, okay, that kind of makes sense, but I think that we don't really know what the building capabilities are going to be on these different lands. Obviously, the price action is massively diminished across all land plots. I think maybe except for like Axie, they've held up relatively well because they have some implementations for it, but I'm still of like a massive, okay, kind of wait and see right now for some of these bigger plays that have that much supply, because not only is there 100,000 out there, there's supposed to be another 100,000 lands coming. And so that potentially works, but that means the game has got to scale like crazy. Whale.swoosh with a pretty freaking crazy breakdown of new NFT projects that launched on ETH, Bitcoin, and Sol this year. Only thing that I'm going to jump to here is the price, because that's all you guys care about. We understand. So the one that's got the worst actually is from the Forgotten Runes team. Their Shadow Hats Bitcoin mint, they launched for 0.2 and they're currently at 0.014 Bitcoin, which doesn't seem like a massive amount, but every little dot on the Bitcoin scale is insane because Bitcoin price is so high. But looking at like the top ones here, there's certain ones that are up 18,000%, which is absolutely absurd. But the majority of the chart is down, and down quite significantly here, with the ones that are up kind of up just, a little bit, but then some of them get pretty crazy. But interesting to see what it looks like when you look at them, right? So going through them, like Quantum Cats. What else do I remember? I feel like Space Nation, I remember seeing Peplicator. That was Matt Fury. The Crypto Undeads, the Solana mint that was super hyped up that I was confused why. And then it came out, people were like excited, but it's down like 74% right now. Persona, I actually thought was really, really cool. That's down 42%. I mean, NFTs as a whole has had kind of an interesting year. But the Ethereum name sales, bot was ticking. NPC.eth got a new bid of $80,000. People apparently want the Ethereum name. Kind of insane. Looking over to Gala, decided to look that up today. Apparently I shouldn't have done that. Smiling Monster says, good morning, Gala Gamers. Instead of working on the current games, they made a new Telegram music miner game. Okay, that's tough. I feel like Gala Games has like done this huge pivot where they're trying to like do everything within the music realm. I don't know if it's been going very well on that front, to be totally honest. But then I saw Jesus also saying, breaking, Gala's last expedition team has been laid off, further cementing their move away from games, it seems, assuming the game also gets outsourced just like Miranda. So that's tough. We had the one that the Miranda's game that they gave to like the Chilean studio, and then the team that was working on Miranda's apparently started their own studio and is building something else. Last Expedition I thought was going to be a huge banger for Gala. That team's laid off. Again, they're going to music, very, very confused on what is going on there. But in general, the NFT marketplaces are starting to pick up here and there. I know there's some bad news, but a laser Bored Ape went for 16 ETH, which again is like 6+ ETH higher than the floor, 41,000. Are we back? Maybe. Final thing I'm just going to share as trying to highlight different Web3 games. This one from Immutable X, Fury Mountain is what it looks like. So I'll let that play on the screen just for a second so you guys get an idea. Again, a lot of these games, they don't necessarily look like, oh, this is a blockchain game, right? All these things are just going to be hidden. It's going to be the tech behind it, and we just get to be the players that use it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you've enjoyed this episode, I'd love for you to give me a like and maybe a share with one of your friends, but enjoy your weekend because today is Friday.